Okay, so what we're working with today is we're going to be solving inequalities. Let's make sure I have a color. You solve inequalities like you solve equations. And you're going to perform the inverse operations to isolate a variable, just like we do with equations. The inverse operation for addition is subtraction. And the inverse operation for subtraction is addition. So what's nice is you've already kind of mastered this. The only difference is now we're going to have to actually graph with it also. Okay, so let's write and solve an inequality. Okay, so sum, remember, is plus, and it goes where the and is, so the plus. So a number plus 5 is greater than. And so this is where if you see is and it follows with a symbol, then you need to highlight it or circle it because it's not going to be plus anymore because greater than usually was a plus. But since it is greater than, it's greater than 8. Okay, so now that I have it solved, I need to go, or now that I have it written, now I need to solve it. Okay, so to get rid of a plus 5, I'm going to, yeah, I wrote it, said it again. To get rid of a plus 5, I'm going to minus 5. And so I get n is greater than 3. And so now I'm going to graph it. So here's my 3, open circle, going to the right. And remember, you have to draw your arrow dark enough so we can see it. Okay? All right, 4 less than. Now it doesn't say is, so less than is an operation. And remember, it's backwards. So 4 less than a number. Oh, here's another less than. Is less than or equal to. So that's where the inequality comes. Less than or equal to -5. And so now I solve this problem, and to get rid of a minus 4, you add 4 on both sides. So n less than or equal to -1. Okay, and so now I'm going to graph it. So close circle, going to the left. It's kind of an ugly arrow, but it works. Okay, all right. 13 is fewer than, so is fewer than. Okay, so 13 fewer than is another way to say less than, but it's not equal to, so it just says 13 is fewer than. I can't speak. The difference is minus, and it goes where the and is, a number and 6. So now I solve to get rid of a -6. I add 6 on both sides. And so I get 19 is less than n. And then I'm going to rewrite it, and so it's n is greater than 19. So 0, 19, -19. Open circle, going to the right. So not super difficult. Just remember to do one step at a time. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some down here where we're just solving. I would like you to try and solve 1, 2, and 3 because it's very similar to what we did above. So try and solve those, and when you think you have it, press play. Okay, so here you should have gotten rid of a -2 by adding 2 on both sides. So I get x is greater than -3. And so now when I graph it, -3 is an open circle, and x is going to the right because x is bigger than it. It's greater than it. All right, for number 2, you should have got rid of a +5 by minusing 5. And look, I get a -3 again. This time, though, it's a closed circle at -3, and it's less than, so it's going to the left. Okay, and then lastly, you should have gotten rid of a -3 by adding 3 to both sides. And so you get -1 is greater than x. But again, I like x on the left, so I'm going to flip it so I don't get confused. So x is less than -1. So it's an open circle at -1 and it goes to the left. Okay, 4 and 5 are not that difficult, but I just want to make sure you remember what to do. So remember, I have to get things together that can go together, so I'm combining like terms. And so I have a 2a and a minus 1a. 2a and a minus 1a is a 1a. And now I just solved the equation. I'm going to minus 5 on both sides. And so I get 0 is less than or equal to a. 1 times a is just a, so I'm not going to write it again. I'm just going to leave it like that. And now I'm going to flip it, because a is greater than 0, so I don't really need any other numbers, but I'm going to put them there. It makes it look a little nicer. So it's a closed circle at 0, and a is greater than it, so it's going to the right. Okay, why don't you try number 5 real quick, see if you get it, and when you're ready, come back. Okay, so you should have noticed you could put a 5x and a -4x together, and 5x minus 4x is just 1x, plus 8 is less than 5. I'm going to get rid of a plus 8 by minusing 8 on both sides. And so x is less than -3. Again, I don't need to write a 1 because 1 times x is just x. And so now I'm going to graph it. So at -3, it is an open circle, and it's less than, so it's going to the left. Okay, so not much new learning today, just kind of combining things that you should be comfortable with. So remember, if you see is somewhere, look and see what follows it. And it could be some terms for an inequality. And then remember, to solve inequalities, you just do inverse operations, so you can get rid of it by getting it isolated and then graphing it.